I have a problem. I waste a lot of time. I mean, like, a lot. You see, whenever I try to get something substantive accomplished, it's never long before I find that I'm distracting myself from what I should actually be doing, and instead going and clicking on the YouTube homepage. And it's a bit of a catch-22 because, on one hand, I want to be aware of what's happening in the community of my fellow creators in the music world in general. On the other hand, however, we all know just how intoxicatingly distracting YouTube rabbit holes can be.
Did you know that in Formula One there's 3 qualifying sessions, and if you make it through all 3 qualifying sessions, you have to use the tires that you used in the second qualifying sessions to start the race on? I don't know why, that's just the rules, don't ask me.
If you're anything like me, chances are just practicing your instrument can often result in this vicious cycle of attempt to be productive, get distracted, be literally the opposite of productive, and repeat. And if you don't have this problem, well, that's really weird, and I don't know if I believe you, so you should probably leave a step-by-step description of exactly how you do that in the comments below so we can all copy you and probably still get distracted. Anyways, so I thought that instead of looking within and confronting the uncharted hellscape that is my mind, I would look to outside of myself to solve my problems because, well, I will literally go to the ends of the earth to not have to confront the issue on my own. But luckily, I don't have to go to the ends of the earth because I happen to live 20 minutes away from one of the internet's greatest productivity nerds. I mean, experts. Hey, Tom! Tom, I'm here. Tom!
Hey, man.
Hey, Tom!
This is my house.
Yeah.
This isn't cool. How did you even find out where I live?
You ready to go talk some productivity?
No. No.
So Tom's gonna join us back at the studio and talk about productivity so that we can find all the ways that you can improve your practicing habits.
You convinced me.
That was hard. Welcome to Thomas Frank.
Hi.
And if you have not seen Thomas's channel, he has an incredible wealth of information about productivity, habit building, and all kinds of things that I suck at. Tom, fix me. What am I doing wrong? Whether it's practicing the instrument or making videos, it's like, it doesn't matter what it is, I will find a way to distract myself from doing it. Fix me.
I think we need to start with some specific questions.
Yeah.
But I do remember you calling me and saying like, hey, I need to get videos done this month, and it's, I don't know, like the 22nd of the month or something, and I haven't started yet. And I have been there,
Yeah.
and that happens to me a lot. Sometimes it's a symptom of burnout, but sometimes it's a symptom of like my environment is out of whack and I need to fix it. Yeah, so I think the first thing that we should talk about is clarity of purpose. When you come into the practice room or when you're sitting down to make a video, understanding exactly what you need to do. Because I have the same thing with music practice. If I just sit down with a guitar, it's not really good practice because I don't have something in mind that I want to accomplish. You know, and that might be fine. It might be fun. Like, I'm just going to sit down with the guitar, I'm going to play, and I'm playing, and I'm getting better, but I'm not really deliberately practicing.
Right.
Whereas when I sat down last year with the intent to write a song, and I had 2 weeks to do it before I flew to New York, and then I was in a recording studio for 4 days, and that was the time we had, like, we got it done because we had clarity of purpose. So either, you know, whether it's a video or whether it's practice, I think the first thing you need to do is sit down and figure out, like, what exactly do I need to get done and when do I need to get it done by? And then break that down into steps that are actionable. Because, like, make a video or even learn a song is not something that I can point to and say, okay, here are the exact steps I need to take in the next 30 seconds to do that. It's too broad. There is, like, the difference between input-based and output-based practice. And you can choose a goal in either direction. So if it is something where you're like, I feel that I could get this today, maybe that's an output-based goal you set for yourself. I need to learn this song. I have the technical faculties to do it. We're going to go into the room. I'm gonna do that. Sometimes I do that for a video as well. I need to finish this edit today. Right. That's the goal. Sometimes I'm like, I don't think I'm going to be able to do it today, or I'm feeling a lot of resistance to how big that feels. So instead, I'm going to make an input-based goal, as in I'm going to work for 25 minutes or an hour or 2 hours, and
no matter what I get done,
You just
I
accept
can be
that
done
level of progress.
after that.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the whole idea behind like the Pomodoro technique, which is one of the most well-known productivity techniques. Is you set a timer for 25 minutes and you work on a singular task without distractions. It is really not about the 25 minutes. It is about overcoming the resistance you feel towards starting the task. Because if I tell my brain, hey, write that term paper, learn this song, that's daunting. And my brain goes, okay, I'll do that, but right after I check Twitter. I'm just going to do this one thing real quick, just one thing. But if I'm like, hey, 25 minutes, just set the timer. And the timer is important because it's a sort of like external control that doesn't allow you to weasel out.
If I meet resistance in my head, so if I'm working on something, I'm trying to work on a classical piece, because you guys know I mostly play jazz. I haven't played a lot of classical recently. I studied classical all growing up, but it's something that I'd like to get back into and that I'd like to do more of. And so I'm working on things here and there, and I find that when I meet some resistance, whether it's mental resistance, physical resistance, not being able to do something, my brain, I can tangibly feel this draw to like just swing my chair over to the computer and click on the YouTube home and just see what's up, see what's there, see what's on the homepage.
So there's a fight on two fronts. You have your resistance to the thing that is hard. So what you need to do is increase your tolerance to uncomfortable situations. But then you also have the reward loop that is built through these tools. There's a habit that's built there. So you need to simultaneously break that while also being able to deal with uncomfortable resistance that you encounter towards these hard things. First thing is getting your environment right. Because this is the easiest thing, I think. Once you have clarity of purpose, get your environment right. This is a problem right here. If this is where you practice and you can just swing over to YouTube, then there is almost no inconvenience to going to YouTube. So there's something that Sean Aker talks about in his book, The Happiness Advantage, I think it's called. He calls it the 20-second rule. And the whole idea here is use 20 seconds as sort of just like an illustrative number here instead of some scientific hard number. Sure. If you're trying to do something more often, reduce the time it takes to start doing it to under 20 seconds. If you're trying to practice piano more often, be able to be practicing piano within 20 seconds. Or for me, like guitar is the instrument that I play. So I've got guitars all over the house, just sitting out in my office, in the basement. I can pick it up and I can play. Under 20 seconds. Conversely, if you have something you're trying to stop doing, you either want to block it, but if you want to leave it accessible to yourself in your everyday life when you have like free time, then make it more inconvenient to get into it. So if I have a YouTube addiction, I might use a tool like Cold Turkey to block it, or I think there's one that will make the homepage load in 20 seconds instead of right away. It's like a Chrome extension. The idea there is when you encounter the resistance to the distraction should be higher than the resistance towards keeping going with your practice or with your work.
What would you say as somebody who knows what you know about the habit building productivity field from an outsider's perspective? What would you say to music students in college or high school who are looking to improve or who are looking for methods by which they can accomplish the things they need to accomplish in their semester or what have you? How would you think you might apply the biggest things that have helped you to a musical context?
I have found that some of the best breakthroughs I've made in guitar playing have come from that whole 20-second rule thing. I pick up the guitar, I'm like, let me just play this little thing, and it will send me down a rabbit hole. And I'm like, wait a minute, well, could I do this? Let me see if I can figure out the other fingerings for this chord I just played. And, a lot of times it is getting over the resistance to play and then letting your mind take you where it's going to go. The other thing is, setting goals for yourself can be very useful as well. Yeah. And I will use like specific rules to sort of focus the goal. Like with videos, I'll say, okay, this scene, I want it to be a recreation of this Edgar Wright scene. Or this video can only be 7 minutes long and I cannot be on camera for most of it. And finding ways to challenge myself very specifically tends to bring breakthroughs. So something you just said, like playing a song in a different key. That's a really good focused challenge that's probably going to build skill a lot faster than just let me rote practice this thing all over and over again that I've already done, or let me sit down and just sort of noodle. I've heard a lot of musicians say that's their biggest problem is
playing
you
stuff
sit
that
down
you already know
and you just noodle because you don't have something specific in mind.
Right.
And when you don't have something specific in mind, you're not really focusing on deliberate practice, right?
I have learned so much about how other people experience these difficulties as well. And particularly for me as a relatively new creator to the YouTube scene, I look at somebody like, Thomas has this channel with productivity and habit building and all these things. And years ago, I would have looked at his channel, and in fact, I did actually. And I saw, and I'm just thinking to myself like, oh my God, how I can never do this. I don't know how this person is so put together with habits and just and then I meet Tom, and it's like nope. no, he's way more productive than I am. But the point is that
we have a lot of the same problems.
We all struggle with the same things, and that's why I'm curious to hear your guys' difficulties and struggles when it comes to being in the practice room, it's at school, whether you're at conservatory, whatever, because I think it'd be helpful for us all to see that, hey, these issues, it's not you. It's all of us. We all have these things that are making it difficult for us to make the progress that we want to make. And I think that when we understand, and I can tell you that for me, getting into being a creator, like learning that many, most, dare I say, creators have these issues as well.
Yeah.
Even somebody who has a productivity channel, and in fact, I would venture to say that's probably one of the reasons that you've pursued building a channel in that space, because you have struggled with these things and you've looked for the solutions. And so that's kind of like, okay, let me share these solutions with other people. But it's just an indicator that you or I or anybody at school or trying to play music, make videos, whatever it is, nobody's immune to these struggles. Nobody's immune to these things. You're going to get distracted. You're going to feel like it's difficult to make progress. And the best thing that we can do is just try to find the ways and the techniques that we can push forward,
Yeah, and it's also useful to realize that when you're looking at somebody's channel or their social media profiles, that is them putting their best foot forward.
Yes.
And when you compare yourself to that, the full picture of your own life with all of the warts and all the things you don't like and your struggles with self-discipline, but you don't see that when someone's putting their best foot forward in a 15-minute piece of content or a picture online,
or a performance on stage,
on stage, right?
Yes.
That is the culmination of them fighting through all the struggles to put something out into the world that is the best representation of themselves.
Right.
But because social media has made it all look like, hey, we're all doing this right now, it's so easy to compare yourself to that and think that's what their life looks like. And it's not.
Right.
There's improvements we can all make, but we are all in the same boat together as well.
Absolutely. And if you're looking to make those improvements, I would highly recommend checking out Tom's channel, because there is just so much content. I mean, he's been such a big help to me in just keeping my sanity, first of all, but then also understanding ways that I can improve what I'm doing and try to make steps forward. And you know what? Even making steps forward, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to have those times when I fall back into these struggles. But point being, if I understand more about how the things that I can employ to try to move forward, that has been super helpful. And it's just going to be a work in progress. And I think for our entire lives, it's just going to be a work in progress all the time.
Everything is cyclical.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
What we're trying to do is when we get into the parts of the cycles that we don't like, we stay there for less time and it has less of a negative impact.
Thank you so much for tuning in and checking this out. I hope you gained something out of it. Let us know in the comments below if you share some of these thoughts and some of the ways that you have gone about trying to get better at these things yourself, because I think we would all benefit from having that conversation with each other. So looking forward to reading your comments in the comments below, and thank you so much for watching.